No sooner has the pandemic receded, the bugles of war have been sounded with the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And while we are riveted and horrified by this conventional war, which is being fought over ground, over air, on the sea, and even on social media, there's actually a far more insidious and dangerous war, which is actually being fought between the same powers, the same nations in the background, in another area. And this war is over AI, or artificial intelligence, a race which has begun between nations. Eric Schmidt, the ex-Google chairman, and Robert Work, a State Department official of the US, said this, sample this: we must win the AI competition that is intensifying strategic competition with China. China's domestic use of AI is a chilling precedent for anyone around the world who cherishes individual liberty. Henry Kissinger has, in a recent book, endorsed this statement. The Financial Times, published out of the UK, says this: China has embarked on an arms race to develop AI-controlled weapons, in which the US and its allies are now determined to compete. Russia's president, the famous Mr. Vladimir Putin, has made his own intentions very clear beyond Ukraine by declaring whoever leads in this sphere will rule the world. So, heeding him, and in conjunction with these statements, every country, every great power has kind of thrown their hat into the fray. China has committed billions of dollars, and basically it wants to develop a $150 billion AI industry by 2030. Alibaba, Tencent, Baidu, Huawei, who are its big, massive tech companies, have each been allocated an area of AI that they should focus on. China has a huge competitive advantage here. Its 1.5 billion population is connected, and it spews out massive amounts of exabytes of data every day. And in China, there's no concern about privacy or security or personal possession of data. And so the government and all these companies can pretty much use this data, the raw material, which fuels or propels AI. And all this is showing nearly a quarter of papers published in AI come from China. And it actually continues to file more AI patents than any other country in the world, including the US. The US is not far behind, though. The President of the United States, a couple of years back, issued an executive order proclaiming AI to be the second highest R&D priority for the country, after the security of its people. And then, as we know, the big tech AI powers sit in the US: Microsoft, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Palantir. And their work is happening in both civilian and military areas. Google, famously or infamously, was involved in Project Maven, which was a facial recognition project by the Army and the Homeland Security. Palantir's massive data farms and AI algorithms are working for every single US spy agency. Microsoft and Amazon are vying with each other for a $10 billion cloud order to host all the military data on their clouds. If US and China are leading the charge, the others aren't far behind. The EU has promised 1.5 billion euros towards AI. The French and Germans are also pouring money independently into specific areas. The UK has kind of taken an interesting stance, saying that it's going to focus on ethics in AI. And it's hoping that the ethical standards that it sets up will be followed by the rest of the world, knowing that it can't compete money-wise, talent-wise, size-wise with some of the other powers. India has also woken up and created its own artificial intelligence mission with a paper published, which is AI for All, or AI for Good. Russia, following their president's intentions, has committed more than $6 billion towards making almost a third of its country's military robotic by 2025, as soon as that. The prize that all of them are kind of rushing towards, or all of them want, is almost $17 trillion. That's what a PwC report says is going to be the value added by AI by 2030. And it's actually more than that. The way oil shaped geopolitics in the last century, I believe that data and AI will be the major force for geopolitics in the next century, or in this century. But this whole thing of this developing into a race is becoming concerning. It's disturbing. It's troublesome, and a lot of experts have said that we need to look at this differently. Stephen Cave, the director of the Center for Future of Intelligence, along with his colleagues, has written a paper in Cambridge University where he's saying that this narrative of AI as a race is both wrong and threatening. And in this volatile world with wars and terrorism and nationalism, it's perhaps time to change the narrative, to make AI development a shared priority for global good. Much like the COVID virus, scientists collaborated with each other to create the miraculous mRNA vaccine. In fact, Professor Gary Marcus, a contrarian AI thinker, has gone one step further and said that we should create a CERN for AI, CERN, the same the same global organization which actually worked on the Hadron Collider. Multiple countries working with each other to discover the boson or the Higgs boson or the God particle. Now, perhaps if we could create something like that, where every country's AI scientists, researchers, data was actually used together, much like the vaccine, as I said, or like the discovery of the God particle, to actually work together. And in this world, that would be a miracle. And it's about time that we nip this other war in the bud now. Thank you very much. Stay safe. And I would love to know more about this AI race and how and what you think about it. Bye-bye until next time.